Chapter 1. The Setup. An atmosphere of exclusivity in the clash of worlds. In the elegant VIP lounge of an international airport, where every detail exuded refinement and luxury, there was an almost tangible air of exclusivity. One could not help but notice the meticulously designed interior, gleaming marble surfaces, the soft glow of crystal chandeliers, and carefully selected furnishings that created an atmosphere of comfort and stability, as if luxury itself had found a sanctuary here. Every touch and every subtle movement in the lounge appeared as a component of a well-rehearsed performance, where not only the guests but even the decor played a starring role. This was a place for the select few, those accustomed to surrounding themselves only with the very best. At the heart of this refined setting stood a young man whose outward confidence and unabashed self-importance were immediately apparent. He had arrived in the lounge in a dazzling car, as if lifted straight from the pages of a fashion magazine, and from the moment he entered, he exuded a superiority, convinced that his modern style and ambitious ideas were the true measure of success. His eyes, cool and penetrating, scanned the room as if assessing every person present, while his assured stride proclaimed that everyone else was merely an extra in his personal narrative. With a faint, self-satisfied smile, he cast derisive glances at those around him, firmly believing that his image, bold, daring, and forward-looking, was the epitome of contemporary achievement. In stark contrast, tucked away in a quiet corner of the lounge sat an elderly gentleman whose modest appearance belied the vast life experience he carried. Dressed in a classic dark blue suit, impeccably pressed and chosen with an undeniable sense of tradition, his face, marked by the gentle etchings of time, seemed to tell countless stories, while his deep, thoughtful gaze hinted at wisdom beyond his years. He sat quietly, not seeking to draw attention, yet his presence was unmistakable, a silent bastion of experience amidst the dazzle of modernity. Observers noted that while the young man radiated a vibrant energy and ambition, the elder's calm demeanor suggested that he had weathered many storms and held a trove of life lessons behind those unassuming eyes. A subtle but undeniable boundary was emerging between the two. On one side, the brash energy of youth, self-assured and dismissive of age-old traditions. On the other, the serenity and depth of experience that only time can bestow. Their eyes met, a silent dialogue between two eras that hinted at an impending collision of worlds. For the young man, whose modernity was measured by fleeting trends and ostentatious displays, the elder's quiet dignity was an enigma. Conversely, the older man's calm and measured gaze suggested that true strength is not measured by outward appearances, but by the experiences and trials of a long life. Every detail, from the gentle rustle of fabric to the muted whispers around them, foreshadowed that a momentous confrontation was imminent, one where the superficial gloss of youth would be challenged by the timeless lessons of the past. In this magical blend of opulence and anticipation, modern ambition met time-honed wisdom in a single space, a place where even the softest whisper could herald a profound turning point. Here, every nuance, every fleeting glance, became a harbinger of change, a reminder that even the most confident can be humbled when confronted with genuine experience. This opening chapter sets the tone for the unfolding narrative, where every character and every detail intertwines to tell a story of clashing worlds and the unexpected power of humility. Chapter 2. Escalation of conflict, verbal confrontation, and the birth of intrigue. Within minutes of that first charged glance, the tension in the VIP lounge began to mount. The young man, undeterred in his confidence, continued to move through the room as though searching for an opportunity to assert his superiority. His eyes flickered with mischief, and his offhand, biting remarks, uttered just loud enough to be heard, prompted curious glances and exchanged looks among the guests. Pausing at a chic coffee corner where a few patrons were discussing the latest trends in the fashion industry, he remarked loudly, "Seems like some people just can't grasp that the world never stands still. Who in their right mind still wears outdated suits in today's age?" His words, laced with mockery, resonated sharply just as his gaze landed on the elderly gentleman quietly seated in the far corner. The old man appeared utterly unruffled by the comment, his silence only emphasizing the stark contrast between them, a living reminder of the past whose reserved manner hinted at a lifetime of experiences. At that moment, one of the bystanders couldn't hold back any longer and interjected in a calm but firm tone. "Perhaps you should consider that fashion isn't merely about standing out, but also about honoring tradition." Hearing this, the young man furrowed his brow and, with a hint of sarcasm, retorted, "Honor tradition? Maybe you mean wearing antique suits and speaking a language only dinosaurs understand." This remark only fanned the flames, causing murmurs to ripple through the room as guests exchanged astonished looks. Yet, the focus remained on the two central figures. The elderly gentleman, who had been silently absorbing every nuance, slowly turned his head toward his youthful antagonist. His voice, soft yet imbued with undeniable authority, cut through the ensuing silence. Youth is the season of ambition, but remember that a person's true worth is measured not by superficial glitz, but by the depth etched into every wrinkle of experience. These words struck with such unexpected profundity that even the young man fell silent for a moment. A fleeting expression of confusion crossed his face, while the room itself seemed abuzz with an undercurrent of disbelief and inquiry. Several guests leaned forward, eager to catch every word, sensing that beyond the mere exchange of barbs lay a deeper, hidden truth waiting to be revealed. You likely believe your experience amounts to nothing more than a series of dates on a passport, while your ideas herald the future, the old man continued, directing his remarks squarely at his opponent. But one can be mistaken, not only about fashion, but about the very essence of life. The young man, feeling his pride begin to crack under the weight of such measured words, abruptly raised his voice, his tone sharp and defensive. "And who are you to dictate what life is? I am building my own future, and you are nothing more than a relic of the past." His words reverberated through the lounge, eliciting a mix of disapproval and whispered approval from the onlookers. In that charged atmosphere, the very air seemed to thicken with tension, as if every word exchanged was a droplet in an impending storm. Here, the narrative began to take on an air of intrigue. Each statement, each gesture, hinted at truths much larger than a mere clash between generations. The young man's bravado, it seemed, masked a fragile insecurity, while the elder's calm assurance beckoned an understanding of life that went far beyond mere appearances. "Perhaps that is why the past remains behind us," the old man remarked, his tone contemplative yet firm. "Yet within it lie lessons that elude the reckless confidence of youth until they are met with the stark realities of life." A gentle, approving murmur spread through the crowd, reinforcing the weight of the elderly man's wisdom. The young man, now feeling the pressure of both words and watchful eyes, attempted a hasty defense. "I'm merely expressing my opinion. Clearly, you have nothing left to lose but old memories." With that, the rift between the two generations was starkly drawn. For the young man, the past was merely a repository of outdated ideas and vulnerabilities, while for the old gentleman it was a wellspring of invaluable experience and hard-won wisdom. As the exchange continued, the atmosphere in the lounge became a delicate balance of rising tension and burgeoning intrigue, a prelude to a transformative moment that would soon redefine everything. Chapter 3: The Turning Point, Revelation, and the Unexpected Arrival of a Celebrity. The verbal duel in the VIP lounge had reached a fever pitch when suddenly an extraordinary scene unfolded. The elderly gentleman, until now a silent, reserved observer, slowly rose from his seat. His movements were measured and assured, and his gaze, deep and serene, captured the attention of every person in the room. With a calm yet compelling tone, he addressed the assembled guests. "Dear friends, allow me to share a story that may open your eyes to the true value of a life well lived." His voice, imbued with certainty and depth, compelled even the most skeptical guests to listen. The young man, who had so recently been trading biting remarks, felt an unfamiliar chill run down his spine as he tried to fathom the significance behind these words. "I once believed that experience was merely a tally of dates and random recollections," the old man continued, "but sometimes, hidden behind these wrinkles is an entire era, one filled with trials, triumphs, and defeats. Every morning, I recalled how difficult it once was to take that first step." As his monologue unfurled, his narrative wove a tapestry of memories and hardships, each word resonating with the weight of years gone by. The audience listened, rapt and silent, as the elderly gentleman revealed fragments of a life that had seen more than the superficial glimmer of modern success. At that very moment, as if summoned by fate, a figure emerged from the crowd, one that no one had expected to see in such an exclusive setting. It was none other than Tom Cruise himself, the celebrated actor and director whose name was synonymous with cinematic excellence and reverence. His sudden appearance, as if both inevitable and miraculous, sent ripples through the room. Stepping gracefully toward the elderly gentleman, Tom smiled warmly, his eyes reflecting empathy and a deep-seated understanding. "Excuse my intrusion," Tom said with a light-hearted note in his tone, "but sometimes fate offers us lessons we never anticipated. Your story reminds me that behind every success lie years of hard work, and that true strength is forged in the crucible of life's challenges, not in the fleeting shine of youthful arrogance." Tom's words, delivered with the authority of experience and compassion, marked the climax of the unfolding drama. The young man, whose earlier arrogance now seemed fragile, felt a sudden shudder of realization. In that moment, he recognized that his confident veneer had concealed a profound ignorance, and that the wisdom of experience was far greater than he had ever imagined. Tom continued, his voice gentle yet persuasive. Each of us, regardless of our age, has the right to learn, to change, and to acknowledge our errors. It is only when we admit that we do not know everything that we grow stronger. As his words washed over the room, a hush fell over the crowd, one that soon gave way to murmurs of approval and subtle nods of agreement. The young man lowered his gaze in a mixture of shame and dawning comprehension. He stammered softly, I never expected to hear such wisdom from someone who. Before he could finish, the elderly gentleman offered a kind smile and interjected, sometimes, the true nature of a person remains hidden until we are confronted with their past. Today, I wish for you all to understand that experience is not a burden, but a strength that propels us towards genuine growth. Tom Cruise extended his hand toward the elder, a gesture that symbolized the unification of generations of youth and experience finally speaking the same language. The lounge, filled with quiet applause and reflective silence, bore witness to a pivotal moment, a young man's awakening to the reality that greatness is not measured by superficial accolades but by the depth of one's lived journey. Chapter 4. Conflict Resolution, the Celebrity's Wisdom and the Lesson in Humility. In the wake of Tom Cruise's unexpected arrival, the discord in the lounge began to melt away, replaced by a profound sense of reflection. The atmosphere, once charged with sharp exchanges and defensive retorts, now resonated with warmth and understanding. With a steady, manner-like tone, Tom addressed the young man directly. You know, there was a time when I, too, brimmed with confidence, believing that the world should bow before my energy. But life has taught me that true greatness does not reside in loud declarations or audacious deeds. It lies in listening, embracing criticism, and learning from one's mistakes. These sincere words penetrated the heart of the young man, whose once sparkling eyes of arrogance now shimmered with growing uncertainty. As his inner defenses crumbled, the elderly gentleman, who had earlier shared fragments of his storied past, offered a gentle nod in agreement, reinforcing the idea that wisdom is born not of age alone but of overcoming life's trials. Addressing the young man once more, he added, life is not merely a series of victories. It is a collection of lessons drawn from defeats. What you have heard today is not condemnation, but an invitation to re-examine your perspectives. Perhaps, in your willingness to question, you will find the beginning of your true journey. The young man, suddenly aware of the fragility behind his bravado, spoke in a tremulous voice. I never considered that beneath my certainty there might lie doubt. I always believed that youth equated to strength, but now I see that true strength lies in the courage to acknowledge one's errors. Tom Cruise nodded gently, affirming the significance of these revelations, and continued, we all learn from our missteps. Do not fear vulnerability, for it is through that openness that we truly grow. Real courage is found in admitting that you do not have all the answers, and in seeking wisdom from those who have weathered life's storms. Soft applause began to ripple through the room as the guests, once mere spectators to a heated exchange, now looked upon the young man with renewed respect. His eyes wandered across the room, and for the first time, he saw in every face a reflection of both personal triumphs and hidden struggles, a mirror of his own, once obscured, vulnerabilities. In that quiet, transformative moment, his tone softened, and he murmured with sincere humility, I understand now that greatness isn't about always being right. It is about having the courage to learn from our mistakes and to respect those who came before us. Thank you for showing me another way. Tom extended his hand once more, this time as an invitation to embrace a new path, one where experience and humility were valued above all. Between the two men lingered a moment of unspoken understanding, a bridge connecting disparate eras and philosophies. The elderly gentleman then added with a gentle smile, remember, my young friend, we were all once in your shoes. It is only by embracing the lessons of the past that we can build a future worthy of our dreams. In that moment, the lounge transformed from a mere venue of luxury into an impromptu academy of life, where every voice and every story held meaning. The conversation, now more than just a series of retorts, had become a shared journey of personal transformation, a testament to the idea that true power lies in the willingness to change and evolve. Chapter 5: Conclusion and Reflection: The Hero's Transformation and New Life Directions. After the emotionally charged dialogue and heartfelt guidance from both Tom Cruise and the elderly gentleman, the VIP lounge slowly settled into a state of serene introspection, as if time had decelerated to allow each individual to absorb the profound transformation taking place. The young man, once brimming with unyielding pride, now sat in a secluded corner, lost in deep thought. His eyes, which had previously shimmered with arrogance, now reflected a quiet sorrow and the dawning realization of his past missteps. "I once believed that success was measured by loud words and bold actions," he murmured softly, speaking more to himself than to anyone else, as if seeking answers within his own heart. "But what have I been missing in my rush to prove my superiority?" His voice, barely audible against the backdrop of subdued music and whispered conversations, was laden with regret and a sincere yearning for change. Nearby, a familiar face, a seasoned guest of the lounge, observed the young man with warmth and understanding. Stepping forward with quiet resolve, the guest offered in a measured tone, "Each of us stumbles at times. The true measure is in recognizing our weaknesses and summoning the strength to change. Today, you have already taken your first step toward genuine growth." Lifting his gaze to meet the wise stranger's eyes, the young man felt a glimmer of hope. In that moment, he understood that real greatness was not found in the ability to argue or assert dominance, but in the willingness to evolve, to learn from the experiences of others. He drew a deep breath, as if unburdening himself from the weight of his former pride, and declared, "I want to start anew. I will no longer judge people solely by their appearance or status. Today, I have come to realize that true strength resides not in clamor, but in the quiet space where wisdom is heard." These heartfelt words drew quiet approval from those gathered, and Tom Cruise, who had been watching from a distance, approached and gently placed a reassuring hand on the young man's shoulder. His tone was warm and understanding as he said, "You have taken a significant step. Recognizing your mistakes is not a defeat but the beginning of a journey toward true greatness. Remember, real strength emerges when you are open to learning and change. Today, you have grown a little wiser, and I am confident that great things await you." With these final words, Tom withdrew, leaving the young man to contemplate his newfound resolve in solitude. The atmosphere in the lounge was now one of quiet reflection, a shared sense that this evening had been more than just the resolution of a conflict. It had marked the inception of new beginnings. The elderly gentleman, speaking once more to the assembly with a calm yet assured voice, remarked, "Life teaches us not through the errors of others, but through our own experiences. Tonight, I have witnessed a young man summon the courage to admit his flaws. May this lesson serve as a reminder to us all that within each of us lies the potential for change and growth." These words, imbued with the wisdom of years, resonated deeply with everyone present. Even after the formal conversation had ended, the guests continued to share personal stories, advice, and aspirations for the future. The young man, fully aware of the magnitude of his experience, reached for a notebook and pen, intent on capturing the fresh goals and insights that had ignited within him. "I pledge to dedicate myself to the pursuit of truth," he declared aloud, addressing the assembled crowd, "and I will no longer allow vanity to cloud my path to real development. Each of us can change if we open our hearts to the lessons of the past." His declaration was met with applause and approving nods. In that moment, the lounge was suffused with a luminous blend of understanding and hope, a tangible promise that even amidst former arrogance and misunderstanding, transformation was possible. As eyes met and smiles were exchanged, each guest realized that this night was not an end, but a new beginning. Gazing at his newfound mentors, the young man understood that he was not alone. Every misstep held the possibility of redemption, and every fall was an opportunity to rise anew. With a quiet determination, he resolved to honor the lessons learned and continue his journey toward becoming the person he always aspired to be. Thus, the evening in the VIP lounge concluded, leaving an indelible impression on all who were present. Deep within every heart, whether of a youthful dreamer or a seasoned sage, a spark of change had been ignited, a recognition that the path to true greatness lies in humility, the acceptance of one's faults, and the unwavering commitment to self-improvement. This story serves as a reminder that each day offers a fresh chance to begin again, and to evolve into the person one has always dreamed of becoming.
If you enjoyed this story, we'd love for you to give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Your support means the world to us and motivates us to continue sharing heartwarming, inspiring stories almost every day.